What up guys, goes in here for AnimeUproar. I have already done the Black Bulls and the Magic Knight Captains rank from weakest to strongest, and it makes sense to top it off with a top 10 strongest characters in Black Clover. Another heavily requested video. If you are loving the Black Clover content and want to see more, definitely smash that like button to let me know. If you haven't, subscribe, and this is very important, ring that magic YouTube bell so you don't miss any upcoming videos. And if you can't get enough content, make sure to check us out on Instagram and Twitter at AnimeUproar for more good times. As always, leave suggestions for future videos you are burning up to see in the comments, and you may see it pop up soon. A lot of you wanted me to make this video and I was happy to, but keep in mind the author has not given us the list of the top 10 strongest characters. As a result, I used evidence from the manga and tried to rank the characters accordingly. This list isn't definitive and it may need to change as we get more information in future chapters, but for now, this is my take on the top 10 strongest characters in Black Clover. Spoiler magic lies ahead. You've been warned. Now let's do this. We are already starting off strong with the elf Rhya at number 10. I placed Rhya higher than the other members of the Third Eye, namely Veto and Fauna, for a variety of reasons. For starters, he's still around, while the other two elves have been taken care of already, and in my view, this is not a coincidence. Rhya even fought against Mereoleona, one of the most OP characters in the series, and he still managed to survive. Not only that though, because Rhya survived as long as he did, he got fully reincarnated. When this happens in the manga, Zora is shocked by the power boost, saying, "Hey, is this some kind of joke?" As it stands, this guy's monster-like magic power has gotten even more tremendous, end quote. The other members of the Third Eye were defeated before they could experience this boost in power, which in Rhya's case allows him to use multiple elements at the same time. This brings us to Rhya's OP magic, which is imitation magic. As long as he touched someone's grimoire, he can use their spells. He cannot use Asta's anti-magic, but other types of magic are fair game, and he has definitely acquired some amazing spells that he can call upon at any time. For instance, against Mereoleona, Asta, and Zora, he uses Yami's dark magic and Patri's light magic at the same time. Later on, he also combines the insane speed of light magic with spatial magic so that he can move around the fighting arena faster than Sonic the Hedgehog. And just when he has Mereoleona, Asta, and Zora worrying over what they're gonna do, an elf-possessed Rhya and 3 other elves show up. But the craziest thing is, it is not like Rhya was in desperate need of help. In fact, after his full reincarnation, he was dictating the rhythm of the battle before the elf-possessed Rhya arrived. Now, do I think Mereoleona could have defeated him if the other 5 elves hadn't shown up? Yes, I do. But Rhya's power is nonetheless demonstrated in this chapter. Even Zora, who's witnessed Asta's black form, wonders, what are we supposed to do with this guy, meaning Rhya, suggesting that Asta's strength for the time being would not be enough to beat him. So far, we have seen Rhya use light magic, dark magic, spatial magic, permeation magic, water magic, and even fire spirit magic as he used Salamander's breath. Beyond this, he has the potential to acquire or collect even more spells, pretty much any spell besides anti-magic. His spells aren't necessarily weaker than the original either, since according to the manga, the stolen magic power's strength is converted to his own tremendous magic power, so he usually far surpasses the power of the original. His drawback used to be that he could only use one type of spell at a time, but now, after the full reincarnation power boost, he can use more. Imagine permeation magic and light magic being used at the same time, for instance. The possibilities are insane. According to the data book, Rhya's statistics are also fantastic. He scored a 4 out of 5 in physical strength, magic sensing, and cleverness, and a 5 out of 5 in magic amount, magic control, and disruptive power. In the end, Rhya is not only still alive and kicking, he's stronger than ever with access to some of the most OP spells we've seen so far, and with the potential to acquire more. For these reasons, Rhya had to make it into this top 10 list. In 9th place, we have William Vangeance, the captain of the Golden Dawn squad and the man who was said to be the top candidate to be the next Wizard King near the beginning of the series. There is no doubt about it, William is strong. His World Tree magic allows him to summon tree roots that he can control. He can create a giant tree that can trap many enemies within a very large area. The spell just needs time to absorb surrounding mana to work. In regards to quicker attacks, he can throw a seed at the opponent which will quickly grow into a tree, trapping the opponent inside. The fact of the matter is, we haven't seen William break a sweat yet, so we don't know the extent of his power and how useful it is in combat. However, we do know that he has built a good enough reputation by the beginning of the series to be considered the top Wizard King candidate, which is no small feat, and that his magic so far has been impressive. In the data book, he scored a 3 out of 5 in physical strength, a 4 out of 5 in magic sensing and cleverness, and a 5 out of 5 in magic amount, magic control, and charisma. For the time being, we haven't seen enough from William to warrant placing him higher. His best spell that we've seen, Great Mistletoe Tree, has the significant drawback of taking a lot of time to work, so it really only works when his allies are occupying the enemy. Nevertheless, we know he is strong enough to be the top candidate to be Wizard King at the beginning of the series, even though strong characters like Fuegoleon and Nozel are also trying their best to be Wizard King. This suggests that, at least at the beginning of the series, William is stronger than both of them. As we'll see, I believe that some other Clover Kingdom citizens are stronger than William, but they would not be considered top candidates for Wizard King because they have no interest in being the Wizard King, so they aren't actively trying to build their reputations. Something that Julius tells Asta and Yuno they'll have to do if they hope to be the Wizard King. We'll touch more on that later, but for the time being, William rests at 9th place on this list, although this may change as we get more information about him. After William, we got the other dude sharing his body, Patri, who goes by his friend's name Licht for a while in the series. I can definitely see how people get confused. Anyways, Patri has his own form of rare magic, which is light magic. There are a few reasons I chose to put Patri above William. First, they share the same statistics, except Patri scored 1 point higher in physical strength. He scored a 4 out of 5 rather than a 3 out of 5. Next, Patri's light magic, along with his 4-leaf Clover grimoire, seems no less impressive than William's World Tree magic. In fact, from what we've seen so far, light magic looks more useful in combat. Light magic gives Patri access to ridiculous speed, to some of the strongest and most versatile attacks we have seen, and to healing powers. He also knows how to use reincarnation magic to put the souls of the dead into the bodies of the living, giving him access to strong soldiers. Then there are Patri's fights, in which he used his light magic to great effect. At one point, Patri says that the Third Eye are the strongest members of the Midnight Sun, and that they surpass him in combat. But in reality, they cannot rank higher than him on this list if we look at the evidence in the manga. Yami survives attacks from the Third Eye long enough for Charlotte, Jack, and Nozel to come to the rescue. Then these captains, who are all weaker than Yami in my view, are able to hold them off in one-on-one fights. None of them loses before the Third Eye has to take Patri and get out of there. However, Yami was seemingly about to lose to Patri, even though his dark magic is one of light magic's weaknesses, before Ghosh came to the rescue. Patri's spell, Ray of Divine Punishment, was so powerful that for a second Yami even thought that Patri had them beat before Ghosh's mirror magic helps reflect the attack back. So Ghosh actually saved Yami and allowed them to win the battle against Patri. However, Patri suggests that he lost on purpose. When he sees Ghosh, he says, "I couldn't risk hurting you," foreshadowing how Ghosh was one of the people that would go on to be possessed by an elf that was clearly important to Patri. So Patri was not only able to hold his own against Yami, the strongest captain present, he almost had him too. But then he didn't finish him off because Ghosh showed up, someone he couldn't risk hurting. If this weren't enough to put him above the Third Eye, he also goes on to kill the strongest mage in the Clover Kingdom, the Wizard King. Am I saying that he's stronger than the Wizard King? No, I'm not. The manga makes it clear that Patri was not stronger. He only won because he exploited the Wizard King's love of the kingdom and its people. He launched an attack called Arrows of Judgment, which was going to kill the people of the city, and in order to protect them, Julius had to use an immense amount of magic and focus. While he was distracted, Patri gave him the finishing blow. Although he is not stronger than the Wizard King, Patri does get points for being able to figure out a way to kill off such a strong character. He did it while the members of the Third Eye had trouble defeating or were defeated by weaker opponents. For all these reasons, Patri has to go above the members of the Third Eye and above William as well. At number 7, we have the OP undefeated lioness herself, Mereoleona. Mereoleona is someone who is stronger than William in my view, but was not considered the top candidate for Wizard King because she is not interested and hasn't focused as much on building up her reputation. In fact, she spends most of the year in nature away from the capital. She does this partly because she can eat as much meat as she wants in nature, while in the capital they have rules against eating meat. It is clear that she is more powerful than many Magic Knight captains and could have always been a Magic Knight captain herself, but she didn't want to be until she decided to fill in for her brother Fuegoleon when he was in his coma. Let's mention her near perfect statistics. She scored a 5 out of 5 in Magic Amount, Magic Control, Courage, and Physical Strength. She even scored higher than Fuegoleon in Physical Strength, since he only scored a 4 out of 5. I wonder if that complicates the whole "you hit like a girl" insult. Anyways, as with other members of the family, Mereoleona uses fire magic. Remember how Charlotte, the captain of the Blue Rose squad, was fighting evenly with Rhya? Well, Mereoleona completely overpowers Rhya, even after he opens his third eye, meaning that he is stronger than he was against Charlotte at this point. Clearly, Mereoleona is well above simply being Magic Knight captain level. In fact, there is a reason she leads the Royal Knights, chosen from the best Magic Knights across all squads. Mereoleona is capable of burning through magic spells, and she was able to do this when Rhya sent a dark magic slash flying at her. She is even able to burn through water attacks, which are supposed to be her natural weakness. She usually uses her fire magic to reinforce her already insane physical strength, which allows her to punch out her opponents. Zora is so impressed with her fighting that he calls her a monster when he sees her in action. Watching Leona fight is truly one of the best things about this manga. After she clearly overpowers Three-Eyed Rhya, Rhya's reincarnation becomes complete and he gains even more power than he had before. Not only that, but 4 more elves show up and Leona sends Asta and Zora away, so she fights all 5 on her own. One is a power-enhanced elf-possessed Rhya, who has arguably one of the most OP types of magic, paint magic, and Leona manages to keep fighting them for much longer than anyone expected. She uses her spell Kalidos Brachium Purgatory, where she uses her own mana and mana zone, which takes mana from the surrounding area, and creates a giant fire explosion. This fire explosion can do devastating damage to anyone nearby. The attack made the 5 elves use a considerable amount of their mana for protection, and even when Rhya thinks she's finally lost consciousness, she didn't, and even tells Rhya to hurry up and come at her. Although it seems like she would have been defeated at that point if Asta and Zora hadn't come to the rescue, the fact that she did as well as she did for as long as she did against 5 powerful reincarnated elves is insane. Not once did she question herself or lose her lovable arrogance. In hand-to-hand combat specifically, I'd say Leona is the best, but I placed the rest of the people on this list as high as I did because I felt that they make up for their weaker hand-to-hand combat skills in other ways. At 6th place, we have Dorothy Unsworth, the captain of the Coral Peacock squad. Tabata held off on showing us her magic for a while, and it was definitely worth the wait. Dorothy usually looks to be asleep, but when she opens her eyes, she can use her dream magic. The elf who possessed her body used her dream magic to trap Luck, Asta, Vanessa, Charmy, Magna, and Mad Genius Sally in a world that she has control over. She can create anything she wishes, but other people's magic continues to work, and other characters can say stuff to get her to think of something and bring it into the dream world inadvertently. The dream world is called the magical dimension, and the characters realize that the only way Dorothy's magic can be beaten is by figuring out a way to get outside of this magical dimension. As if it wasn't OP enough, the longer a character spends time in the dream world, the more tired they get, which would obviously affect their ability to fight at their best. If they fall asleep, that's it for them and they will not be able to wake up in the real world. Even though there were so many powerful characters who could work together in the dream world, they had no chance until Sally used her brains to figure out that they can get the elf to accidentally think stuff into the dream world. Then they get her to think of the real Dorothy, and eventually the world collapses because it could not support both of their dreams. So in the end, only Dorothy could defeat her own magic. I think that the real Dorothy would have been even more of a threat than the elf because she would have had more practice with using her power, and as a result, she has probably learned strategies to better counter people's attempts to get into her head. I believe that if Dorothy got Leona trapped in her dream world, Leona would not have a way of getting out, out. Meanwhile, as Leona is getting tired, Dorothy would stay on the offensive, launching the strongest water attacks imaginable, or even summoning copies of all of the other Magic Knight captains, or even Julius, and sending them to attack her. For these reasons, despite how insanely strong Leona is in the real world, I had to put Dorothy ahead. Coming in at 5th place, we have the Witch Queen. It makes sense that the mother of all witches would rank higher than one of her daughters, Dorothy. If we go back to when Yami first broke into Vanessa's cage that the Witch Queen was keeping her in, Yami said that the Witch Queen isn't an opponent he can beat right now. Yami has gotten stronger since then, obviously, but the fact that he knew that he couldn't even try fighting her at that point shows how strong the Witch Queen was even then. I'm going to skip over her unbelievable healing magic and focus on what she has been capable of doing in a fight. She possesses blood magic. She can create things using this blood magic. She can create weapons like a scythe, or even an execution ground that immediately traps everyone she wants to trap, leaving them helpless. Furthermore, she can take control of people she's cast spells on by manipulating their blood. With the spell Puppet's Blood, she is able to control Asta after he just unlocked his OP Black Asta form, and he can't resist, despite Asta probably having the most willpower out of everyone in the show. In theory, she could build up a whole army of OP soldiers to do her bidding, which would increase her overall strength. In addition to that, she can foresee the future to an extent, which can be very useful for preparing for any battle she might have to fight. How could such a strong character be defeated? Luckily, Vanessa happened to unlock the Red Thread of Fate, which literally allowed her to change destiny. Vanessa's Red Cat couldn't hurt the Witch Queen, but it could make it so that no attacks worked on her friends. So eventually, the Witch Queen decided to give up trying to take control of Vanessa and kill her friends. However, if the Witch Queen didn't have a change of heart and stop, the truth is, she probably could have gotten her way. Vanessa's Red Thread of Fate magic drains a large amount of magic power while it is active, and Vanessa doesn't have a large amount of magic compared to the Witch Queen, who scored a perfect 5 out of 5 in magic amount, while Vanessa scored a 3 out of 5. So yeah, the Witch Queen couldn't get her way. The story had to continue after all, but we shouldn't underestimate her immense power because of this. She could use her Puppet's Blood spell on Vanessa, and chances are she might be able to use it on any witch from the Witch's Forest, even Dorothy. We know how much of a control freak she is, so it wouldn't surprise me if she ensured that she could use that spell on all of her daughters. Especially if Vanessa isn't around to change destiny, there are few who could challenge the Queen. Next up, at number 4, we got Fuegoleon Vermillion, who was the captain of the Crimson Lion squad before he got put into a coma by Patri. So why is he so high on this list? Well, a few reasons. Mainly because things have changed and now he is out of the coma and stronger than ever. Before he went into the coma, I would have said that Mereoleona was stronger than Fuegoleon, but after getting out of the coma, we find out that Fuegoleon now possesses the Fire Spirit Salamander, which will drastically increase his already insane magic power. Even before going into the coma, Fuegoleon was strong, and Yami said that the only way Fuegoleon could have been defeated by Patri was if Patri played dirty. As we know, Patri likes doing that, and he could have used the fact that he shares a body with William Vangeance to get Fuegoleon to let his guard down. The fact that Yami says Patri could have not defeated Fuegoleon, even though Patri was about to defeat him before Ghosh comes to the rescue, shows how much Yami respects the strength of the Crimson Lion captain. Before he even inherits the Fire Spirit Salamander. Before inheriting the spirit, Fuegoleon scored similar statistics to his sister Mereoleona, except he got an extra point in cleverness, while she got an extra point in physical strength. His stats were as follows: a 4 out of 5 in physical strength and magic sensing, and a 5 out of 5 in magic amount, magic control, cleverness, and sense of justice. Now that he has Salamander the Fire Spirit, his already insane magic amount will increase all the more. Combine this with the fact that he has been ranked the smartest of the Magic Knight captains, and you not only have an insanely powerful opponent, but also an opponent that could probably think his way out of difficult situations, like being trapped in Dorothy's dream world. Fuegoleon, since he is a noble, can potentially hold both the title of Wizard King, a title that can theoretically go to anyone who is strong enough, and King of the Clover Kingdom, a title that cannot go to commoners. This is exactly what he aims to accomplish, and given his newfound power, I'd say that he's definitely got a shot at both. Now we are getting really high up to the top 3 strongest characters in Black Clover. The bronze medal goes to Yami Sukehiro. Now, as we've seen, Yami hasn't always been as strong as he is now. Like I said, he was about to lose to Patri before Ghosh came to the rescue. However, he's improved since then and he's unlocked his strongest move to date, Dark Cloak Dimension Slash. This move would have been able to cut through Patri's strongest light magic attack. It can cut through dimensions and spatial magic, so normal magic attacks are definitely no problem for him. If they were to fight now, one-on-one, Yami would win, which is probably one of the reasons Patri ran away the latest time Yami tried to fight him. In the data book, Yami's scores were as follows: a 4 out of 5 in magic control, magic sensing, and cleverness, and a 5 out of 5 in physical strength, magic amount, and limit surpassing. All of his 5 out of 5s are extremely impressive and important to take into account when considering how strong he is. Not only is he physically the strongest character in Black Clover that we've seen so far, even beating out Magicless Boy Wonder Asta himself, he also has a perfect 5 out of 5 in magic amount. As I've said before, he is the best of both worlds. The one drawback of his OP dark magic is that it is slow, but he's overcome this by channeling the dark magic into his katana. He is thus able to send high-speed flashes of dark magic flying at the enemy. Then there is his category of limit surpassing. When Yami absolutely needs to, he has a tendency to surpass his limits. Something like that is obviously more useful in a fight than Sense of Justice, for example. He was even sure that he would have surpassed his limits when he was fighting the Third Eye if the other 3 Magic Knight captains didn't show up. And the truth is, he totally might have. As was the case when he unlocked Dark Cloak Dimension Slash out of necessity, he could have unlocked new magic that would have helped him deal with the Third Eye. This potential for surpassing limits, when necessary, should be taken into account when considering how strong Yami is. Then there's Yami's knowledge of Ki, which allows him to perceive and react quicker to unseen enemies than magic sensing could. So far, unlike Fuegoleon, Yami has never been beaten in battle. He either won or it was interrupted, so in anime actuality, we've never seen his ability to surpass his limits when he has no other choice fail him. So for these reasons, I put Yami above the already mentioned characters on this list. It is inevitable that he'll grow even stronger, but for now, I can't place him any higher on this list because of the gap between his own strength at the moment and the strength of the characters I'm about to mention. The silver medal goes to the Wizard King Julius Novachrono. Let's get his statistics out of the way first. He scored a 4 out of 5 in physical strength and magic sensing, and a 5 out of 5 in magic amount, magic control, cleverness, and forward looking. Julius uses time magic, and anytime we saw him in action, he was significantly ahead of the enemy in strength. But through dirty means, Patri did manage to get him to sacrifice his own life in exchange for the lives of the Clover citizens. In their fight, Patri says it himself, the Wizard King is the strongest magic knight in the land. Julius can restrict the flow of time, accelerate it, or stop it for a time. He is able to read the near future and adjust to the upcoming attacks accordingly, even speeding up his own time, increasing his speed. This allows him to even dodge some of Patri's light magic attacks, which is impressive because light magic is the fastest type of magic. Even when Patri hits him near the beginning of the fight, Julius is able to use stored up time to reverse his injury. After letting Patri get that one hit, Julius goes on to completely outclass Patri. Patri even notices that Julius has strength to spare, and that he is trying to restrain Patri without killing him. This is a mistake that Julius should not have made, but he might have wanted to save William, his precious student, who shares the same body as Patri. Patri takes advantage of this and launches an attack on the city, saying, "Even if I can't kill you, I can kill everyone around you." Thus, Patri admits he's weaker, even as he's found a way to defeat Julius. Julius uses his time magic to reverse Patri's OP Falling Swords of Light attack, and in the process uses up all his time and magic power. Patri stabs him, saying that being the Wizard King is Julius's one weakness, because he has to protect the people of the kingdom. Now it seems kind of ridiculous that Julius didn't finish off Patri as soon as possible, but a similar thing happened in Naruto as well. The third Hokage had the chance to stop his student Orochimaru earlier on in the series, but he let him go, and eventually had to sacrifice his life in battle against him. Thus, the teacher, at first, was unable to bring himself to kill his own student. Similarly, I believe that Julius could not bring himself to kill William along with Patri, because William was his precious student, and unlike Orochimaru, William is portrayed as a good human being, not a detestable villain. So it makes sense why Julius didn't go for the kill, but instead went for the capture, holding on to the hope that he'll be able to save his student. Ultimately, his love for William and the Clover Kingdom were his undoing, but he nonetheless proved throughout the fight that he was stronger than Patri. Other characters on this list will probably surpass him in strength due to time, because they are still alive and will as a result continue to grow, while Julius cannot improve anymore from the grave. However, for the time being, he deserves to place this high on the list. Before we get to the number 1 strongest character in Black Clover right now, let's do an honorable mention sort of thing. You may have noticed that I didn't include the first Wizard King, the demon that the first Wizard King defeated, or Asie Silva, Noel's OP mom, who was supposedly stronger than Mereoleona. They all would have made it if I counted them, but I decided not to include any characters who A, passed away before the main story takes place, and B, were not brought back to life with reincarnation magic. I excluded them mainly because there would be a lot of guesswork involved due to the lack of info we have about them. Rest assured though, all 3 of these characters were extremely strong and would have made it on this list if they were still around when the series began. I also want to give a shout out to Asta with his Black Asta form, Yuno with his Spirit Dive form, and even Noelle with her Valkyrie Armor form. In a relatively short period of time, they have all come very far. If they keep growing like this, there is no doubt that these main characters will break into the top 10 as the series goes on. But we must keep in mind that these guys are still really young and relatively new to the game, and for the time being, I couldn't place them on this list. And now we have come to the number 1 strongest character in the series. The gold medal goes to the real Licht. Licht was the leader of the elves. He activated the forbidden reincarnation spell that eventually led to Patri being reborn in William Vangeance's body, and he also activated the top level forbidden magic that summoned the ancient demon, who could only be stopped by the first Wizard King. Licht's grimoire had 4 clovers and he possessed sword magic. In fact, he used to own the swords in the grimoire that Asta uses now. Recently in the manga, Licht has been brought back to life. He took back the Demon Dweller sword from Asta, the sword that allows him to absorb magic attacks and send them flying back at the opponent. We don't know how much stronger he's gonna get, but so far he has shown that he can easily beat Asta and Yuno, even when they are in their strongest forms and working together. He appears to be one of the quickest characters, if not the quickest, that we've seen so far. In fact, according to Asta, it's like Licht dissolves into the air and appears where he wants. Asta cannot read his ki or mana. For Asta, it seems like Licht is integrated into nature's mana itself. He is able to absorb Yuno's strongest spirit magic spell without a problem. He then sends the magic flying back at them, which is enough to defeat them. Although he left his old grimoire and the other swords with Asta, Licht takes the Demon Dweller sword that he is so skilled with. In fact, Licht shows just how much Asta has to learn, since in theory, Asta could have done everything Licht did with the Demon Dweller sword, but he was never able to use it so effectively in the past. The truth is, Yuno and Asta working together and trying their hardest couldn't even give Licht a serious challenge. And he clearly hasn't shown everything he's got yet, not even close. For these reasons, I have to put Licht at the top of this list for the time being. And that is it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, then make sure to smash that like button to let me know. If you haven't yet, don't forget to join the Black Bulls of YouTube by clicking that subscribe button and ringing that magic YouTube bell. Feel free to scream like Asta while you're doing it. For more content, follow us on Instagram and Twitter at AnimeUproar. If you want to motivate yourself to never give up and support the channel at the same time, you can get our Dream Big, Work Hard Asta shirt at AnimeUproar.com, link in the description. Use the code UPROAR25 to get 25% off your purchase. Don't forget to let me know what video you would like to see in the future. That, my friend, is what the comment section is for. Remember to kill your limits and never give up on your dreams. And until next time, see ya, Space Cowboy.